Hey everybody, this is Scott from Klaus Team TV, and we are here with Councilmember Scott Somers, who you are returning to the Mesa. You've returned to the Mesa City Council, and so you served 8 years ago,
Yes, termed out 8 years ago.
and now you're a glutton for punishment. You wanted to come back.
Yeah, you could say that. It was a difficult time. I served from 2006 and termed out in January of 2015. It's because in Mesa, the charter says we can have 2 terms, and then you have to sit one out, but then you can come back.
And so we're glad to have you back, and we enjoyed Kevin Thompson there for quite a while. But there were some things that I have been here since 2004. I've seen a lot of changes. I remember because I worked up here in Mesa, but I lived in Santan Valley, and so I had to take Ellsworth southbound. And back then it was 2 lanes, and it flooded it felt like about 80% of the monsoon season. So I called it Lake Ellsworth. And we'd either have to drive around to Ironwood or go through the airport. And a lot of times Ironwood had issues now. And so now it's just, I was driving around the other day. I was like, man, this place is so different. There's no proving grounds. You've got the freeway access. It used to be so far out. And then all of a sudden we had the 202. Now we've got the 24. Now Ellsworth is, a real road now.
Most of it.
and a lot of under construction.
Yeah, there's a lot under construction, yeah.
Especially the next few months. So let's talk about what are some of the things that actually started back then that we're starting to see now.
Right. Well, 2006 was a very different time. Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport was only that in name. It hadn't been very many years since Williams Air Force Base shut down because of the BRAC. Ray Road on the north side of the airport, which a lot of people traverse now, was not there. State Route 24 was barely a plan. It was really a concept, and like you noted, a lot of the roads around here were barely roads. You mentioned Lake Ellsworth. Broadway Road was worse. It had an inverted crown, which means instead of angling to move the water to the side of the street, it goes right into the middle. Yeah, and I met the person who designed that.
And Elliott Road, let's not forget about the roller coaster.
Elliott Road was a 2-lane roller coaster that would flood out quite a bit. GM Proving Grounds had announced that they were leaving, and they were selling their land to developers because they were going to move farther out to Yuma. And
let's not forget Mulberry was a bunch of unused state trust land that just sat there for...
Exactly. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. I moved here, my wife and I moved here in '95. We lived in Superstition Springs. And it was almost the edge of the world, right? There wasn't a whole lot past that. Sunland Village East was there. Sunland Springs Village was under development, but there weren't a lot of communities past there. As a matter of fact, you could hear the hunting in September.
And the Superstition division of the police department, that station was out in the middle of nowhere.
It was basically a trailer. The firehouse was a trailer, for sure. Yeah, it wasn't much.
So let's talk about the plan for the future for Mesa. What's in the general plan? What are we looking forward to?
Well, that's a good question. We're under General Plan 2040 right now, and we are currently in the process of redoing that plan. So state law requires that every 10 years, our charter cities have to go through a general planning process. It is a public process with public input. And we encourage people to get involved because I get a lot of email, what's going on here, what's going on there, what type of development people want to see. And this is an opportunity to influence that plan because the zoning that we see is based in part on what our general plan says. So this is time to get involved.
And how do people get involved with that process?
Well, we do have a website up. It's mesalistens.com, mesalistens.com. And On there are videos, ways to get involved. There's survey links. We'll also be doing outreach to communities throughout Mesa as we put this plan together.
So that's planning for the long term. What are we looking at in changes to District 6 in the short term?
Well, a lot of construction.
Yes.
Still going on.
We're doing something there at Ellsworth in the 24 that's going to take place for a couple months.
It's going to take a few months to get through. You're seeing a lot of road construction, and I know that's frustrating.
Now, this is just only on the southbound traffic?
Right now.
And then it'll switch over?
Yeah. So, well, it's an interesting story. So Mesa is responsible for some of the road. One of the reasons we're seeing a lot of road construction right now is because as developers come in, they are responsible for portions of what we call their half-street improvement. So Ellsworth, you mentioned, there's construction there. Meta is paying for part of that road to be constructed. So it's a way for growth to pay for itself. The pain is, of course, that, because a lot of these roads are underserviced, we're seeing a lot of that construction right now. But once it's done, it's going to make traffic move a lot easier.
And what other changes are we looking at? We're looking at some changes in parks.
Starting to see some of the commercial growth that people have been asking for. There's a new development just south of the 24 on Williamsfield Road. That's going to have some commercial and 3 hotels. Those hotels are desperately needed in this part of Mesa and will service largely Bellbank Park, but a lot of other visitors as well.
Which I don't think people realize how much visitor traffic Bellbank Park is.
It's a lot.
Is bringing and is going to bring in the future because tournament play and.
There's tremendous tournament play. There are a lot of teams that come in, and these people have money too. I mean, if you have the money to come to Bellbank Park and travel to Arizona from all over the United States and Canada, you have some money to spend. So we're looking forward to further development next to this property that'll be high-end full-service hotel. That's what we're planning.
And I know that a lot of people are really wanting to see, we see a lot of commercial development, a lot of industrial. I know that they're hoping to see some more restaurant opportunities down there, some more shopping opportunities.
Yeah, and they're coming.
In the Smart and Cadence region.
It's been slow, I will admit, and I think part of that is because everything shut down due to COVID the last few years. It's been, I mean, if you shut down a restaurant, how can you build a new one? Particularly a sit-down restaurant. So, we saw a lot of the convenient food, fast food takeout come quicker. So now what we're looking at is more of a diversified menu, if you will, right? So the sit-down opportunities are starting to show up in planning. Those are coming.
Now, one thing that I'm excited about too is when things were built out, we mentioned the Superstition Division was pretty remote and way out there, and it isn't anymore.
No.
And yet that division of the police department serves a huge amount of space.
Yeah.
And so a development outside of D6 is going to impact D6 in a big way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new Northeast Mesa Public Safety that's getting built.
Brand new building on Power Road. It's actually in District 5, more on the northeast side. So, like you mentioned, our police department covers essentially all the way down to Queen Creek and all the way north. That's this precinct. The good news is
pretty far east as well.
Pretty far east. The good news is it tells you how safe this area is, right? They don't have a lot of the calls for service. They're able to service that area, but we're growing, right?
Yeah, there is some issues with, if you've got an officer that's free that's way up north responding to something way south, but what that's going to do is it's going to create a new district.
Correct.
For police department, and so the Superstition will be able to just focus on, and so that should increase some response or decreased
response time.
times
Yeah,
down
because
there.
an officer that's up in Los Angeles might have to come all the way down to Cadence.
And it happens.
And it happens, and that's just we can't continue to do that. So the groundbreaking was, I believe, this past January. We should see that open early.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah, early mid next year, and they'll have their own precinct on the northeast side, a new fire station, a new battalion chief that will operate that section. So the fire department resources, the police, particularly the police resources, will be able to focus more here.
They're
at
actually,
District 6.
they've already started moving forward on, they realigned the beats and remembered everything last August. And so, they're already getting used to learning those areas and being able to map out response.
Yeah, and we're hiring police officers.
Yeah.
Always hiring police officers. Anybody wants to be a police officer, we'd love to have you.
It's a great department to be a part of.
It is.
So let's talk about parks. One thing that we're doing over in Superstition Springs is we're building a new park expansion there,
Yep.
but also a new library. That's big.
The Mel.
Yeah.
We started the Mel. The Mel was originally in the old VF factory outlets back when that was still a mall. We started that. That was the first library we'd opened in, I think, 24 years. And it was wildly successful. Closed because of a storm, had damaged it. And it was decided, Kevin Thompson really pushed to have a library open again in that area. So the Mel will have new life as part of the Monterey Park expansion, which will see ball fields. We've already seen an improved playground for the kids, and we purchased that land back, when I was on council, and then Kevin finally got the money to fund it. So it's great.
And that's at Monterey and Power. It's just north of Guadalupe.
Correct.
So let's talk about expansions. I know that a lot of people don't realize that Eastmark Great Park is not a part of the Eastmark HOA. It's a city park.
It is a city park. Yeah, it was. There are HOA components in there. The clubhouse, for example, but the vast majority of that park is a public park. It's going to have its final phase, phase 5. Will be opening up on the north side. Park Jewel, I think, kind of terminates there, and it'll go into a little parking area. But that's going to have tennis courts, which people have been asking for, pickleball courts, more kids play area, and if you do disc golf, it's kind of right at the end of the disc golf course that's there.
And that park is huge.
I don't think it's the largest park, but it's certainly the most amenitized.
Yeah.
Right? There's a skate park. There are 2 ponds. One is for fishing. Yeah, one is for fishing. One's for the ducks. So you got the ducks. You have a full diamond or a clover of ball fields for games. There are 2 dog parks, large and small dogs, disc golf. Also a lot of them, and then trails. So if you're into running, there's lots of trails.
Yeah, but it's multiple miles long, isn't it?
It stretches out. Yeah, it goes north south and then heads across the top. Creates a bit of a buffer between the residential and the commercial that's developing there, and then goes over toward the fire station.
There's even a diner there.
There's a diner and a farm. Yeah, food to table or farm to table. Yeah.
So let's talk jobs. We've seen a big increase in jobs in especially Southeast Mesa. We've seen a lot of companies that have significant jobs and then some that have a lower number of jobs per square foot.
Right.
What are we looking to see as things move? Are we going to see continued new data centers, or are we going to see more manufacturing? Or are we going to see
No,
a mix?
there's certainly some interest in the data centers. There's significant power lines there, so there's a lot of energy, and that's what they need is a lot of energy. There's only a couple that I've heard have some interest here. Both of those are air cooled, so that's not a water issue for those. What we're really focused on is manufacturing, native manufacturing, where things are built here in Mesa and either used here in Mesa or exported elsewhere. That's one of the benefits
We've seen
of
a
having
good
an
number of
airport.
those come in on Ray.
Ray Road has some really good ones. Dexcom is one example of a manufacturer here in Mesa. We're seeing more logistics move to the south. We're going to see an expansion of some of the heavier industrial that'll be south along the Germain corridor. We're seeing a lot of interest down there, and if you've not gone south of the airport in a while, it's incredible the amount of growth that's going on down there. So the objective has always been to make District 6, Southeast Mesa, a net importer of jobs, so that people travel from their homes to the district to work. And communities like Cadence and Eastmark and Mulberry are all that live, work, play type of environment. People that want to live close to where their employment is, so they're not driving into Scottsdale or Chandler or Phoenix in heavy traffic on a US 60.
And that's something that we've talked about before too, that Mesa has a statistic of being the nation's largest suburb. And that's something that you're looking to change by making it where it's not a bedroom community, but people are living and working.
Sure.
In Mesa.
It's been called the largest city you've never heard of. We're at least 38th, and we might have moved up to 37th.
Yeah, we are bigger
right
than
in there.
Atlanta, Miami, St. Louis.
San Francisco, a lot of those communities, but we do have a reputation of being bedroom community. And it was Keno Hawker, I think, first started. He was mayor of Mesa back in the 2000s. And he said, we need to move from a bedroom to a boardroom community. And it really started about then, how do we maximize the resources here in Mesa to start bringing more jobs into this community? And we're starting to see that balance shift from just being a lot of houses to having more jobs.
A lot of different industries too, data of course is something, but just aviation, we are
huge.
Home to 2 of the top 10 busiest general aviation airports in the country. Falcon Field and Williams Gateway.
And Falcon is home to Boeing, huge manufacturer. MD Helicopters is located up there. We're starting to see, flights in and out of Gateway Airport.
And we're starting to see more, the industry of just repair of, private jets is significant
too. The FBOs,
And now we're seeing Gulfstream come in as well.
Gulfstream, Virgin Galactic is actually going to build spacecraft here in Arizona. We're not going to shoot them off from here. They're going to New Mexico for that, but they are going to be constructed here. Manufacturing jobs, exporting into New Mexico.
And I think a lot of people aren't aware of our unique customs location there with having Mexican customs, working right there. So we are actually a port of Mexico.
The Skybridge.
Yeah, Skybridge
is they just broke ground here just a few weeks ago on their first building. So it is an expedited process through customs. Right now, the agreement's with Mexico. So goods coming in or goods going out can have that process.
Which is helping Mexico as well because they don't have significant airports in northern Mexico, in Sonora area. And so we're able to use ours
to facilitate that, but it's that first stepping stone, I like to think, to trade with Canada. And eventually trade with Asia, right? And expanding that and having that focus here. I would love to see finally the ability to manufacture stuff here in Mesa and then send it overseas for sale.
So if people want to dive in deeper, want to get involved with the general plan, want to share their voice, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at District 6, and it's the number 6, so District 6 at mesaaz.gov. And again, I would go to the website, mesalistens.com, and see what you can do there. There are videos and surveys, and get involved. This is really an opportunity to have your voice heard.
Well, thank you so much for coming
My
and sharing
pleasure.
with everybody here.